What's up, guys? It's Jim with OPTCG, bringing you guys another locals video this week. And this week, you guys really put me to the challenge, making me play the new black starter deck Monkey D. Luffy of 3 days, 2 years, the new ST14 starter deck, which I'm just going to put it out right now, I think is really bad. Ever since these cards got revealed, we made a video on it. We said it was bad. People defending it in the comments. Oh no, it's good against black. No, I mean it is. It's okay against black, but you can still lose against black. And against pretty much all the other matchups, this deck just doesn't do anything. It's a little bit too clunky in my opinion. Too many moving parts and too reliant on what your opponent is doing as opposed to what you're doing. And this is not even including the problems that the deck itself has. Like, I think it's a bit too stage reliant. I think there's only a few fantastic cards in this deck, a lot of mediocre stuff. But with all that being said and out of the way, I think this leader is a lot of fun. I was actually surprised. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that this was the leader that got voted for in the poll, I was a little bit, not looking forward to playing it. But once I made the deck, tried some games on Sim, found a list that I was at least a little bit happy with. I actually had a bit of fun. Ended up going 2-1 at locals, so actually not bad, especially for this list. So with that being said, let's go ahead and show you guys what we ended up with. So first up here, this card is pretty much the backbone of the deck. Without this card, I'm in a rough spot a lot of the time, which is why I call this deck stage reliant. If you don't draw this card, a lot of your combos just aren't going to work. So that is the new stage, the 1-drop black 1000 Sunny. Basically, if you don't know what the card does, it is a 1-Don stage, and it has a static effect. Every single one of your Black Straw Hat Pirate type characters has +1 to their costs at all times. And then on play, if you are a Straw Hat leader, which we are, you get to draw 1 card. So this is basically a 1-Don draw 1, and then has a static effect for the rest of the game that is actually very, very important. So getting this card out early is the best starting hand we can have. If I have stage and starting hand, I'm pretty much always keeping, as it is very, very important. So with that being said, let's get into our Straw Hat cards here that benefit off of this stage. First up being 3-cost Brook. This is a fantastic card in this deck, as the KO effects make it very, very good consistently on play and when attacking. Usually in most other decks, this card is very removable. In this deck, if we have leader effect and stage, this is a 5-cost, which obviously is a lot harder to remove than usual. So really solid card that combos also well with a lot of the good cards in this deck. And I think it is your best card to play down early for sure. Love Brook in this deck. Felt very nice to play. Next up here, I'm going to say this is the best card in the deck. This card is very, very good. There is no doubt about it. If you are planning to play Purple Black Luffy, you need this card. And that is going to be 5-cost Sanji from the starter deck. So this card is great. It is literally a 5/6 that pretty much always is going to KO a 5. So this just KOs a 5 if you have a 6-cost character on board. So obviously this is a 5-cost. Which means either you need 1 Don attached to leader, which means we can only do this combo on 6 Don, or another reason why stage is so good, if you have stage on board already, you don't need a Don attached. This is already a 6-cost, which means if we're going first and you played stage on 1 or your second turn, you can play Sanji on curve and he will get his effect, which is very, very good. Another reason why this is a little bit stage reliant, but does not mean this card is bad at all. This is by far the best card in the deck, and I think just honestly a really, really good black card in general. Really, really do like this card, especially in this deck. Next up here, another 5-cost. We have 4 of Nightmare Luffy. This card is pretty much known for being played in Lucci, maybe even Moria, as it can deal with black and yellow Luffy. In this deck, however, it is a Straw Hat black card, which means, again, with leader and stage, it's buffed by 2 costs. So This is a 7 cost card, a lot harder to remove, as a lot of the time, if we're playing this on curve in any other deck, it's pretty much getting removed before it can attack a lot of the time there. In this deck, a lot harder to get rid of for a lot of decks, right? If we're playing against blue and they have a Gravity Blade, if we buffed it by 2, it's a 7. It's completely out of range of that. Same with Sanji. So, really, really good card and one of our most consistent removal. I don't think I got to show it off today, unfortunately. But if you can get it out early, it's actually really, really good. And next up here, I'd say the second best card in this deck. This card is very, very good, and that is going to be 6 cost Nico Robin from the starter deck as well. This card here is our main way we are getting an 8 cost on board to activate our leader effect. So basically the ways we can do that is we have stage plus leader effect is going to buff Robin to an 8, which means this is online, and it also means Robin is online. Robin only gets the -5 cost when we have an 8 cost on board, which means, again, if we don't have stage and we only do leader effect, Robin is stuck at 7 cost. Leader effect does not go off, and her effect does not go off, meaning this card's dead, and our leader's pretty much dead. So another reason why this is very stage reliant, we do run a card to kind of help out with that, but obviously, needing another card is a bit of a problem. You'd rather already have stage on board. But nonetheless, this card is amazing. If you have this card with Sanji is literally a KO anything, -5 to KO a 5 combo. You'll see it today is devastating. Any 10 cost is not safe from this deck. So our best removal in the game in the deck by far, very, very strong. And next up here, we have 7 cost Dressrosa Monkey D. Luffy. So a very interesting card that you probably would not expect in this deck. But this is our best card to see when we do not see stage. Because if we need an 8 cost on board, this is our best target. As 1 down on leader is going to bring this to 8. Obviously, if you have stage, it brings it to 9. You don't need it to be 9. You only need 8 for leader effect. But it is still nice to have when you don't see the stage. And then the double swings in the late game is one of our best win cons in the deck for sure. Having this plus a Nightmare Luffy a lot of the time is like a double swing of death. It's very hard for opponents to deal with and really hard for people to get rid of. It can also attack into active characters that you really need to get off the board. So really great card. Mostly here for consistency purposes to activate our leader effect. And next up here, we have 2 of the 6/8 Vanilla Zoro. This is another target literally just for leader effect. I don't actually love this card that much. It's just kind of necessary. A lot of the time, if you're drawing all these small cards, you don't have anything big enough to actually use leader effect. So if we have stage on board plus leader, same as Robin, this will be an 8, which means we can at least activate leader while playing an AK. Kind of a necessary evil in my opinion. Other people I know play Moria and stuff. I just had a little bit too much non-counter. And I think this is nice to get out earlier, as obviously Moria you can only play on 8. This can be an 8 cost as early as turn 7. So really love it. But with that being said, let's get into our 2Ks. So first up here, we have Suru. Suru is, everybody knows best black 2K, -2 cost for 1. Not really much to say. You've seen the removal we have with Brook, Sanji, Luffy. Not really much to talk about there, just for the minus cost and the 2K. Same thing here, Toy Soldier. It is Suru for 1 more Dawn, but it is a -3 cost instead of a -2 cost. So that does matter a lot of the time. If we only have, say, this Luffy on board, they have a 5 cost. Suru would not do the job, so Toy Soldier is going to have to go in and do it for us there. Literally just for the same reason. And last up here, we have 2 of T-Bone. This is just a 2K that is grabbable off of Rebecca, but it can also come in handy if we needed a KO effect. If we are only seeing our cost reduction, say we only saw Nico Robin, and we need to get rid of something big, T-Bone is a clutch in the end if we do not have any other KO effect. So that's the only reason, as well as the fact that it is our only 2K that's grabbable off Rebecca. And next up here, our best play going second on our second turn, it is Kuzan. So Kuzan, very good card. He is not good later in the game, but playing this card out early is really good. Cost reduction and card draw is amazing, especially when we need to find this 1000 Sunny at almost all costs. The more we can dig through the deck, the better. Paired with cost reduction and with 1 Dawn on leader, this is a 5 cost, making it even harder to remove for a lot of decks, which is very, very nice. So really like Kuzan, especially if we get him out on 4. Next up here, we have a 2 of Rebecca. Thinking of maybe bumping this up a bit. I think we're a little bit low on blockers. We can buff ourselves to 6k, but even then, blockers are a bit of a necessity. So I would probably go to 3 Rebecca, maybe -1 Zoro, maybe even -1 of the 2Ks. You guys can try it out yourselves. Even maybe a 5 cost Monkey D. Luffy down by 1 would not be too bad. But this card's great. It obviously can play out Brook if we do a Nico Robin on board. -5, Brook can KO a 6 off of Becca. It feels really, really nice. She can re-grab your Luffys if you want one in hand. If you're on 10 Dawn and you need a Robin and you have like a Brook on board, she can re-grab your Robins. She can re-grab your Sanjis, which are really crucial in a lot of situations. So that's the reason I'd probably bump this up a bit. That is the one thing I would change about this deck for sure. Next up here, our last blocker is going to be 4 of 5 cost Sabo. This card is way too good. It's tax on TCG player for a reason right now. This is the best blocker in black, very similar to Queen in purple. Same effect with this guy, except now he's a cycle 2 and has the very strong effect of not allowing your cards to be KO'd. So we do run into a lot of bad hands. It is one of our only ways to actually get rid of the stage here, because sure, we can play out another stage and cycle another card, but we'd rather get it out of hand. Once you have a stage on board, you're usually fine. Do not really need to do anything more with that. But Sabo, really nice card, also really clutch a lot of the time when we need counter. So next up here, we have 3 of Ice Age. Ice Age is just another cost reduction. We are playing a black deck with a lot of KO effects, so obviously Ice Age was going to work here. It's basically a Robin for 1. It feels really good with the Sanji, right? If you have a Sanji, this is literally just 1 Dawn Ice Age, play Sanji, KO anything. It's really nice. Brook, KO a 6. It just works very well with the deck in general, and feels really nice. Last card here, or sorry, second to last card. I was not running this at first because I didn't see the value, but after playing this deck a bit, I do. And that is going to be, I have my crew, another new event from the starter deck. If you guys don't know what this card does, this one is going to draw 1 card, then up to one of your characters gains +3 cost until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this is what I was talking about kind of earlier. This is very crucial when you don't get an 8 on board. If I'm not seeing my Robin, Zoro, or Luffy, this is the only thing that can actually buff any of these other characters to 8 cost, right? If I have a Brook on board, you can actually buff it to an 8 cost with this, right? +3 from this puts it to 6, and then +1 from leader, +1 from stage is going to put this all the way to 8. So obviously activating our leader and anything else in the deck that requires an 8 cost or less to be active. So really do like this card. It also just cycles a card, which is really nice. I kind of can use it similar if I don't like my hand in the early game. You can just play I have my crew, cycle a card. Very simple, similar to when playing Lucci. A lot of times you'll see Tempest Kick in your opening hand, and if you don't really love it, you can play Tempest Kick to just draw a card. So really, really decent card. And last but not least, we have 1 of this new 2-cost event, combo attack from the Straw Hats. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It is way too long. But basically, this is one of those 2-cost +3k events that also has a separate effect. This one is going to KO a 2 or less when you have an 8-cost or more character on board. So this is really good to go for game, but not always all that useful. Definitely our least sought after KO effect. But really good if we have 7-cost Luffy on board. As for 2 Dawn, you can buff it by 3k. And then obviously making that into a double swing is going to be absolutely devastating, especially when this could have KO'd a blocker in the same process there. So really, really like this card to go for game. But if I see too much, it's really bad. So that's why we have it at 1. But with that being said, guys, that's going to be the deck list. Really actually enjoy this deck. So I don't think it's good. I think this is pretty bad into a lot of decks, namely red. This deck's gimmick just doesn't even do anything against red, as they're all power removal. So increasing cost doesn't actually accomplish anything there, other than allow you to turn on your own effects. I wish we had a few other cards that, kind of like Sanji, that only required cards like a 6 cost to actually go off. Most of the stuff like Robin that requires an 8 cost is just a bit too slow and reliant on stage. So if this deck had a little bit more cards like Sanji, I think it could work. I was a doubter, but if this got a little more support, I think this deck could be a little decent. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our local games today. And getting into our first game here, we're going to be going against a blue Doflamingo. Our local blue Doflamingo Menace is at it again. Fortunately, we are going first. He actually chose second, and we get the 1000 Sunny on 1. So that is obviously our perfect start with this deck, as he sees no Perona for his first turn. So he's going to take the 5, and we're going to play the Brook, and we are looking good, as we did get our perfect 1-3 turn. And we do have the Sanji and the Robin for the next couple turns. So we have a great hand right now. But he does get the Jinbei and do the 3-cost Dofi here. So that is probably one of your best 4-Don turns for Dofi here. Setting up his future turns and getting 2 bodies on board is probably the best thing you want to do here. So he will pass back to us. Now on 5-Don, most likely going to play the Sanji here. We are going to just do the 5k lead and immediately snap that Sanji to KO the Jinbei here. And again, this is why I'm saying this deck is pretty stage reliant. If I don't have stage there, I can't do that because Sanji is not a 6 cost. I would have to do some other weird play, like maybe do the Ice Age and swing with the Brook, which is never going to feel as good as what we did just right now. But he's going to go ahead, swing 7 with the Dofi blocker we will take, and he's going to swing 7 with lead, playing a Jinbei into Boa as we give him a 1k and a 2k. So not a bad turn for us here. We're going to go ahead and go 6k at the Dofi here as we put 1 on lead, buffing all our characters by 1 cost. And then we will play the Nico Robin, and again, with stage and leader effect, this is going to be an 8 cost, which means we can minus Boa by 5 cost. And go ahead, swing with the Brook here onto nothing, KO the Boa with its when attacking effect, and then since we have an 8 cost on board, leader is actually buffed to 7, so we'll swing 7 into the Jinbei, and he is not going to counter out of that. So that was basically the perfect curve for going first for us. I'm not going to lie. That is exactly what you want to see. Completely removing board and developing a board now all buffed by 2, right? That Sanji is a 7 cost, so if he had a Gravity Blade right now, he can't remove it. The only thing that's removable by Gravity Blade is Brook. So he's going to swing into Brook for 7, and then with his remaining Dawn, play a Boa Hancock to lock down that Nico Robin, as we are not going to be able to use its when attacking effect now, which is a pretty solid play. I think he had the Red Rock in hand, so he might have actually wanted to Red Rock the Nico Robin before it could get any value in the future. But let's go ahead and see what we do this turn. So laying on our Dawn, I think we can actually get rid of this Boa right now. Looks like we actually have a Brook in hand plus an Ice Age, which obviously, you know, is going to get rid of that Boa. Let's see what we do. We will put 1 on Sanji. Go 7 to lead. He's going to take it down to 3 life. We're going to put 1 on lead. We now have an 8 cost on board, so leader is buffed by 1 at 7k at the moment. We're going to put 3 more on lead. Apologies, 2 more on lead, swinging in 9k. Did math a little wrong there, so we'll do 1 for the Ice Age, putting Boa down to 1, and then we will do the Rebecca, grabbing a Sabo to hand and playing the Brook to KO the Boa Hancock. So very solid turn for us, as he only has 1 swing. We're just going to block it with the Rebecca, and he's going to play the 10-drop Kaido, the standard 10-Dom play for this deck. However, with the Robin on board and a Sanji in hand, as I was saying earlier, no 10 cost is safe from this. So we're going to go ahead, immediately buff Robin to 8 so she can get her effect off. Going to go 7 lead, minusing 5 to the Kaido right now. This is going to require a 3k counter, which he does, getting rid of that Gravity Blade, which basically has been shown to be pretty useless in this matchup when you have stage on board. So we'll do that. I have my crew. We're just looking to cycle cards here, I'm not going to lie. We did not really need that in hand, so we might as well turn it into a draw 1 card. So we use it to buff Brook. Now he cannot even be Gravity Blade if our Dofi player really wanted to. We're going to go 1 on Sanji, swing another 7. He will give us a 2 and a 1. So he definitely had a lot of counter in hand here. We're going to go ahead and go 6 at lead. He's going to give us 1 and 1. And we're going to go ahead and go 7. He's going to take. So we can pretty much guarantee he does not have any 2Ks if he's giving us 2 1s there. So Playing the Sanji right now, as we said, gonna KO that Kaido, and we have a full board to his nothing and 1 life right now. So, really great spot. This was definitely a really nice game for us. When you see what you need to see, a deck's gonna be good. Who would have guessed? So, Dofi gonna do 3 for the 3-cost Doflamingo, setting up the leader effect here. Going to be looking at it, allocate the Dawn here. You probably want to swing into Robin if you can, but I think he's only going 7. Yeah, so probably going into the Brook here. Going to play the Moria out to grab most likely a 2k to hand. We will indeed give him that Brook. Definitely don't want to counter out of that one. And then he will play 4 for another Weevil here to draw himself 1. So now I have a very menacing board. Opponent has 1 blocker up, and we have a board of basically all 6k, 7k. So we're going to go 7 with Nico Robin minus the blocker. He is going to block before we can actually KO it. So we'll go 7 again, check his hand. He'll give us a 2 and a 1 here. Yeah, that was the 4-drop Croc and the Dofi. We'll do another 7 here, check his hand once again. We actually go on board, and we actually go to leader there. And he did actually have 2 2Ks, so you may say I should have gone for game there, but I'm actually just going to go for the safe play, get rid of board, play the 7-cost here, which he cannot remove unless he has a red rock right now, and basically ensure my win on the next turn. He's going to go 6 to Sanji. We will give him an easy 1k. And at this point, you're really not getting saved by anything. Not even a Boa could help, because Boa actually cannot affect any card named Monkey D. Luffy. So, I really don't know what the win con is here. He's just going to go 7 into Sanji with leader effect. We'll give him an easy 2k. After he plays down another 4-cost Moria, grabbing the 3-cost Dofi. He knows he needs a blocker right now. So, going to set up the top 5 with the Dofi. Honestly, it does not matter. This game is pretty much over by now. So, we're going to refresh everybody here. Leaving the Dawn on leader and going 7 to lead right now, minusing Dofi by 5. He is forced to take. He's going to try to do the Gravity Blade, but I'm like, he's actually 7-cost right now. So, pretty funny interaction there, but we're going to use the 2-cost event to KO the blocker there and swing with Luffy. And getting into our next game here, we're going to be going against a Katakuri as we are going on the second curve here. We did win the dice roll, which is very nice for us. And we're actually going to have nothing to play on 2, which is rough as we do not have stage. He is going to play the Perospero on 3 as we take his 5k swing. We will go 5 to lead right now. He'll give us a 2k Frankie. As we did get the 1000 Sunny from life, we're going to play it down, drawing 1 into the 3-cost Brook here. So, pretty decent start for us, not going to lie. He will go 5 to lead. We will definitely counter that 1k with the Brook, but he does have the Gadatsu to KO our Brook here. And he's going to go another 5 to lead right now with the Charlotte Katakuri. We're thinking if you want to give him counter right now, a bit too risky to take that one, so we're going to give him a 2k Suru out of hand. He definitely has board advantage right now, so we're going to put 1 on lead, swinging 6 into the Perospero. He takes it, so probably doesn't have a 2k. But looking at the top 3 here, if you do see the 10 bomb, you're going to grab it, and he indeed does. So I'm going to play the 5-drop Sanji here to pop the Gadatsu right now. Very, very good card. Honestly love this card. Best card in the deck by a mile. He'll swing 9 at lead. That is going to be a definite take, and then drop the 4-cost Okiku. So only thing we can actually do to avoid activating its effect on this deck is play the Nightmare Luffy down to actually trash it. So we'll go ahead and go 6 with Sanji. He is going to take as we play the 7-cost Luffy, buffing leader, and then swinging 7k. So this requires a 2 and a 1. Let's see if opponent gets a trigger here. Looks like they do. Gonna actually do the Amaru with a ton of cards they don't want in hand. Converting that into another life is very good for Katakuri. So pretty good trigger for our opponent there. He's gonna play the Pudding for 1, grabbing the 7-cost, the exact card he needs for this turn. So very, again, fortunate for him there. Gonna go 6k into Sanji. We can counter out of this, so we're gonna give him a 1k. He will go 7 into the Sanji, checking that top life there. We will decide to give it to him. And he's going to play the 7-cost Lin, and we're actually going to trash that life. Putting him up to 5 life basically would seal the game here. There's no way I would be able to win at that point, especially with an Okiku on board. So unfortunately, we do have to take the life there. Bit of a rough spot, but you got to do what you got to do. So we're going to go 7 to lead. He is going to take with no trigger. We're going to put 1 on lead, buffing him by 1 and swinging another 7 to lead. He's going to take that one again. We will do the Nico Robin here. minusing Kiku by 5, and then we do have the Brook in hand here to actually get rid of it. We will be buffing his life back up to 3 if we make this play, but removing board and developing 2 decent bodies is actually pretty much worth it. Especially, I think, when we're expecting a 10 mob next turn. If he decides to drop it, we're going to do our best to remove it. Unfortunately, do not have a Sanji in hand. Sanji would be amazing here, but we actually don't have it. He's going to go 8 into Luffy. We don't have the counter, and there is the 10 mom pretty much sealing this game. You could argue we might have wanted to go a little more aggro that last turn to put him in a situation where he couldn't really drop the 10 cost mom. But if we did that, not removing Kiku might make us lose on the next turn, so we're going to see what we can do. I have my crew. We'll just buff Robin. I mean, it really doesn't matter at this point. Our hand is really bad. There's not a lot of ways we can win this game at this point. The hand is not looking very stellar. Not a lot to do with it. So just thinking what my best play is this turn with 2 7-cost Luffy's in hand, though. Probably not a lot to do. Another stage. You can't do anything with that. And a 2K. There's not a lot of plays to do this turn. Brook and Robin actually can't remove anything either, so we're going to swing 7 lead, minusing the 7 cost mom by 5. We'll go again, 7 to lead. He's actually going to Beige the Brook, which means we cannot KO what we wanted to KO. So we'll pivot, playing the stage for 1, drawing 1, playing Kuzan, drawing another one, and we know there's no way to win, so that's going to be it. And getting into our last game here, we're going against the RP Kid that you all wanted to see the deck list of, and it looks like we're playing this deck next week as well, so let's go ahead and try to get our revenge today. We're going second. He's going to swing 7 on his first attacking turn. We are definitely going to take that. We will swing 6 on our 4-Dawn turn. He's actually going to give us a 2K as we drop a Brook for 3 and pass to him on 5-Dawn. So now on 5-Dawn, let's see what our opponent decides to do. Going to play the 4-Dawn for Bon Clay, ramping himself 1, and then going to put 2 on lead, buffing by 2K, which means his leader actually goes up to 8K. I was a bit confused here, and I thought this was only 7. He's explaining that was actually at 8K, so I'm like, oh, you mind if I take that back? Did not care, and I just decided to take the life. So he now knows 2 cards I have in hand, so we're at a bit of a disadvantage, but that is completely fine. We're going to put 1 on lead here, dropping the 5-drop Sanji and swinging 6. Again, every time I play this card, I'm going to tell you it's the best card in the deck, and it's going to keep showing why. This card is very, very strong. 5-6 KO5. Who would have guessed that is very good? He's going to drop the 5-drop Useless Kid here, swinging again 8 with lead and activating effect. We will give him 2 2Ks this time. Not going to mess up there. And now putting ourselves on 8-Dawn. So we actually can remove this kid. We do have the Ice Age in hand. We unfortunately do not have the Robin. If I had the Robin this turn, it would be really good. Unfortunately, going to have to settle for the Ice Age though. So going to go ahead and drop that Ice Age for 1, putting Kid down to 0. And then going to go ahead and swing 5 with Brook to KO it on attack. He is actually going to take the 5 as we swing 6 again. He's going to give us a 2K. We'll go another 6 as he takes down to 3 life. Now with his leader finally being a 5K, we're going to play the Sabo down, drawing ourselves 2. As we finally draw into the stage, we're going to play the Monkey D. Luffy and the Brook in a trash, as it's a bit too late for that 5-drop. And we already have a Brook on board, so not really stressing that one. But he is going to play the Dragon here. That is a very scary card, I'm not going to lie. And he's going to go ahead and go, I think that is 9 to lead. We will definitely take that, as he's going to spend 1 for the Killer Searcher just before swinging again with the Dragon here. Going to grab another Kid and Killer. Very, very good card, especially when it's searchable. So with that knowledge in mind, he's actually going to go 9 at, I think, the Brook. I think it was the Brook is what he told me. And I'm thinking about it here, and I think I need the Brook to actually kill the Dragon next turn, so I'm actually going to block with the Sabo. So now on 10-Dawn right now, we're going to do our best to remove this Dragon, as if we don't, we're probably going to lose. So finally getting the stage down. If we didn't have the stage down here, I'm not sure if we could remove this Dragon. I don't really remember what the play is, but yeah, we are going to play the Robin after he takes our 6K swing. With stage here, going to minus the Dragon by 5. If we did not have stage, again, this would not have worked. So very, very stage reliant. I'm going to say it a million times. Going to swing 7 to lead. Again here, he's going to give us a 0-cost event. as we're going to go ahead and spend the rest of our Dawn 1 on Asuru, putting Dragon down to 1. And then going to go 5 with Brook. He's going to give us a 1k counter as we KO the Dragon on our attack. So now opponent on all 10 Dawn at 2 life right now with a 6k leader. There's really no scenario where we're losing. He's going to go ahead, play Kid Killer, swinging 7. He was a little confused why I gave him a 2k, and I had to explain, oh, my leader is actually at 6k still. He'll play a Punk Rotten on the Killer. Just trying to get as many swings in right now to try to win this game. We're going to take that 7k here. As he uses leader effect, going to go 7k again. We know if he has another Kin Killer, we are safe. So we're just going to try to bait him to go for it. But he actually only has a Zoro. He's going to go 6 into Brook. Most likely betting he can't win here. And we're actually going to counter out of that as we want as many swings as possible for this next turn. Opponent only having 1 card in hand means this is pretty much wraps. We're going to make this quick, put 1 on lead, swing 7 with Robin. He is going to take, down to 2 in hand. We're going to go another 7. He is going to actually take that one as well as we KO the Kid Killer on attack. Going to do the Punk Rotten trigger, getting 1 active, which means if he had a Rad Beam, he could use it, but that's going to be the game. And that is going to be our video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Again, actually a surprisingly fun deck. If you guys have not picked up ST14 yet, I would give it a shot. Why not? The deck is pretty much on shelves everywhere since nobody wants it, from my experience. But if you do want to have a little fun, I think it's a fun little deck to pick up. Not going to win you any regionals or anything anytime soon by any means. Definitely needs a little bit more support. But with that being said, looking into our next week, we actually have RP Kid on the lineup for the next week. You guys were definitely looking forward to that one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit up my local buddy there that actually played it in the RP Luffy video. Maybe expand on his deck list a bit and do the best we can with that. So do look forward to that on the next Saturday. But with that being said, you guys have a great day. This has been Jim with OPTCG, and I'm going to head out of here. Peace.